So one thing that a lot of people on the far left get wrong is that they aim for equal outcome, but which violates classical liberal values. Classical liberal values looks for equal opportunity, the most equal opportunity, the most important equal opportunity that we believe in when it comes to classical liberal values is equality before the law, right? And at least I attempt to make it as equal as possible, right? Obviously, the most important part of that is that one law for everybody, but the second part of that is how do people get to defend themselves when they are charged, and how could we equalize that as well. So this is where I think the capitalist model and limited governments shines, right? Because one thing that a limited government model does is that it saves the government a lot of money to be able to focus its revenue on places where it's supposed to be involved, right? So again, like a lot of people think that people who want limited government, they want a small government. I don't want a small government. I want a big government, but a limited big government. I want a big government that is focusing, that is rich, that is very rich, to focus on the play areas that is best at, right? I want my government to have a giant army. I want my government to have a giant police force. I want my government to have like a really good court system. I want my government to be able to afford a lot of money to lawyers for people who can't afford lawyers. I want the lawyers that we give to the poor to get paid a lot to be able to compete with lawyers that rich people could afford, right? So if we get government out of healthcare, if we get government out of education, I mean, they could still give subsidies in those areas. I mean, like running healthcare out of running education, if we could get government out of so many areas, there are so much tax revenue that would be left over for the government that when it focuses on the areas that it's supposed to be focusing at, it will do a lot better job. Imagine if all the money that the government spends on all these other areas that it shouldn't have any business being involved in. Imagine if a lot of that was saved to have a better justice system. That's what we want the government for. Imagine if all that money was spent on making sure that we fight corruption and people are being treated fairly in the justice system, then we could equalize this a lot more. Imagine if all the money that we could be saving, be paying to the lawyers that are supposed to be representing people who can't afford a lawyer themselves. That would equalize the situation a lot more. Again, we can never get 100% equalization, but you could get as close as possible.
Well, and the other thing, it's more of an update. Greece lately closed about 100 illegal mosques. So
Oh, really? I
hope
haven't
it's
seen that.
interesting.
That's pretty good. Amazing.
Yeah, Europe
All
started
right.
like waking up.
Well, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay.
Okay, next we have Steph.
Steph.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay, so what I was going to talk about has nothing to do with what you just talked about. So should I like do it later or no?
No, no, no. That's fine.
Okay.
Guys, you could steer, like, guys, everybody who raised their hand, you could steer the direction of the conversation. And again, guys, we're now allowing more topics than Iran and the Middle East. So
Okay, well, it's
move the
combining
conversation.
all of that and it's more
Yeah.
just I don't know if I'd call it an epiphany, but it's a observation of just how much people don't know about I'm talking right now about the Iran revolution, even just
Okay.
what you call it. Like I was just Googling some just to see, and it still comes up with all the IRGC bullshit. And as someone who grew up in Connecticut and has lived abroad and know so many people, none of them know, like, I didn't know either, but none of them know like the basics. And so I'm having this epiphany after watching like people lie about Israel for 2 years. I also didn't know that you could do that so easily. But like the same kind of way that the evil bad BDS people like made this whole campaign, I feel like there needs to be some sort of portal or campaign or coordinated effort to get out like the truth to like your everyday American, because they I just want there to be more support. And like, even if I'm going back to Connecticut next week and I want to show it to like a congressperson, like they have like a one pager of basic bullshit, basically showing not truth. So I was just wondering if there's anyone doing that sort of in connection with Prince Reza Pahlavi, or like a way, for example, like to, okay, there's a way to like have a page that you can send to people of influence so that it's not just like me saying it to a bunch of people. I don't know if that made
Oh,
sense. There's a lot more in my head, but I'm just trying to think of like something, like I'm wanting to like do something to get out. Like it's crazy. I don't think people realize how much people don't know. And it's not
hmm.
because they're
Like a
on the
fact,
wrong
like a
side.
fact sheet, like a fact
Yeah, like
sheet.
yeah. And even just the same way that honestly they've been able to use like Gazan children to make the whole world care about that. Like, I don't mean this to sound like insensitive, but it's like, I mean, I'm like crying every day seeing the horrible stuff going on in Iran, and no one knows it. No one. And like, people should be seeing that in their inbox. They should be seeing these young people like that forced confession, and just like, there's just so much evil going on that's not being shown. And I feel like if bad people could do this, then like surely like the people that stand for all of the right values of like secular democracies should also be able to do this. Because right now it's like, I don't know. I've learned so much from you guys, and I just realized whenever I talk to anyone about it in America, they just have not a clue what. And
Steph,
so yeah, that's what I'm wondering if you have any
one
thoughts
thing,
about.
one other thing you could do is you could bring them here to this community.
Yeah, the problem is everyone's so busy. Like everyone's so busy all the time. I just like want I not that they I won't. Like for example, yeah, this week like several people asked me to like send them stuff, and I'm like, okay, so I if I send them like your like 8-hour stream, they're just not going to watch it. And I know this just from the last 2 years of trying to tell people about Israel stuff. So that's my only thought, is like I wonder if there's some way to like have a portal or some sort of website where you have the information that can be easily like found by like your
Hmm.
average person that doesn't care, but they would care if they knew. Yeah, I don't know why he just kept letting his dog play with my dog, and then my dog just like lost it on him. Oh my god. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, that was boring.
You know what we could do is we could make a one-page website with all the facts. I think we could. Somebody here could do that. Like
I
maybe
wonder
you
what
could.
Prince does. Because yesterday I was asking, oh, is there a
Oh,
website? Because it's just stuff like that where someone asks me about it. They're like, oh, wait,
oh,
what's going on? And I'll be like, oh, I want to send them something simple. And I've just been observing how, like, because I wasn't paying attention, that like the BDS people have obviously been doing this for 20 years, and their whole thing is based on like hate and like lies. And like this is all about like the opposite of that. So I just feel like I want
have
to
you checked?
do
Have you
more.
checked the print?
Yeah,
Have you checked Prince Reza Pahlavi's website?
I
Irana
just
Passon
did
TV?
yesterday. Once they sent it to me yesterday, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good!" Like I hadn't seen it. I
Yeah.
was like saying we should put it in our profiles and whatnot. The thing is, I'm
Yeah. I'll
also
put it
not
in the
big on
chat.
social media, but yeah. So maybe
I'll put it in
something
the
from
chat.
there is the best way to.
Yeah.
They have a lot of information there, so maybe that is kind of already established. It's just getting, because the way they're labeling it obviously is so what they've been doing forever to everyone that's like good, basically is like they're just calling him like a king and prince and monarchy and da da da. And by the time you like explain it all, it's like you've lost the story, like the facts.
Right.
So I don't know. I just want to reach all the people I know would care that just don't know, so that
All right.
this doesn't like get ignored.
Well, check the website and send them. See if that's helpful.
Okay, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was all.
And
That was just thinking how to
by the way, guys, I'm
yeah.
also working on this article to defend everything Pahlavi related, like defending. Like I'm gonna go through all the accusations against Reza Shah, Muhammad Reza Shah, and Prince Reza Pahlavi, and respond to every single one of them in one article. And so once that's ready, maybe I could share it with you guys and see what you guys think. So I'm working on that right now.
Yeah, it would be good to
So
share stuff like that because then we could like post it in like the newspaper in X, Y, or Z plate, like an editorial kind of. I'm just seeing
yeah.
like the information getting out just doesn't seem
All right.
remotely sufficient.
All right.
So that's all.
Okay. Well, thank
Okay.
you, Steph. That's a good suggestion. I appreciate that.
Okay, of course.
Sorry,
No
can
worries.
I
Yeah.
add to that really quick?
Yep.
If you just like if we would make barcode, QR code, so like you can stick it wherever and like people will scan it and just reach to directly to his site, so they will see
Yep.
all they can provide,
It's
like
it's just the
all
baby
they want to
boomers, you
show.
guys. The baby boomers just don't know anything, and they're biggest people in America. And they just see a picture and they react. And I'm like, okay, at least I want them to be reacting on the side of the Iranians and not like getting fooled. But
Oh.
yeah, the QR
All right.
code is so
Let's move.
super good. We're in between, yeah. So both
Let's move
things
to
can work.
Samantha. So let's move to Samantha because she's been waiting for a while to speak. But thank you, Steph. So Samantha. Oh, who's
Um,
BT? Hold
the
on 1 second.
Islamization.
BT, you're muted. Just 1 second.
Sorry, we have Samantha. Roman has a question from the chat, and then we have Johan.
Okay, go on, Samantha.
The Islamization in like Europe. Does anyone know if they've, I don't know, reached a point of where they're trying to use intimidation tactics against like elected officials for like, I mean, things like, trying to vandalize houses or people's cars, without like to send a message like against elected officials for not doing the things they want them to do.
Wasn't
I
there
haven't
a
seen.
politician in the UK
Oh,
that got assassinated?
say that again, Danny.
Wasn't there some politician in the UK that got killed? I don't remember exactly.
I wanted to answer
Either
that, but
killed or
I'm
attempted.
not sure if there is a list. I wanted to mention something.
Yeah, I've heard. I've heard in the UK politicians are very unsafe. I've heard that, but I do think that that is not the general strategy. The general strategy is to become the politicians. You know what I mean? The general strategy is to change the demographic enough so that they could vote and get their politicians in. That is the main strategy.
I guess that
The
would
way
make sense
to,
if you're like in favor of voting, that you would want to.
yeah. So that is, yeah. By the way, Samantha, whenever, again, no pressure. Whenever you're comfortable, I'm really looking forward to the day that you ask me about communism and capitalism. No pressure, and I will promise that I will make it the most friendly, positive experience as I could possibly make it for you, right? But whenever you feel comfortable to ask me, like, challenge capitalism or defend communism, and then see, like, maybe I could like respond to it. And if anybody here wants to like attack you, we will stop them. We will have a very friendly conversation about it. No pressure, but whenever you're comfortable, I'm looking
Okay,
forward to us having that conversation.
thanks.
Okay.
Cat lady, why don't you answer in? I know you had something on this topic.
Yeah, I wanted, but I really need to check now because I don't know. You know what? I remembered. I told you earlier that there are explosions. They're nonstop, which is super weird. Still going, but I remember now. Oh, police! Good, police car racing. Woohoo!
Where are you? Where are you? In
I'm in
Israel?
Israel, but I remember that in 2 weeks there is Purim, and there is this tradition of like young criminalish, somewhat punks, to blow up some tiny dynamites every year in Purim, which are illegal. But I did not hear it this loud for a long time, so I'm hoping it's not something from the Islamic Republic. So
Wait, are you in Tel Aviv?
close, yes.
Because it's
But
not Purim yet, right? I don't hear it.
yeah,
Just I don't hear it, but I've heard all kinds of weird things, so I get
very
the
weird.
concern.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it's
yeah.
nothing. But okay, about Europe, people died. People were murdered, like in politicians. Like I think it was two or three, even in the UK. I know. I think in Sweden or something. There were intimidations, but also there is also other like tactics, like Armin said, of taking over. There's both. You can find this and that. You can pick and choose. You have different types.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me
Okay,
finish
next
this.
we have
Wish me a
Roman.
quiet evening. That's it.
All right. Who's next?
Roman, are you still with us? Oh, I'm sorry. It was a question. Sorry. Yes, glad you're still here. Some analysts he listens to have been criticizing Israel for not having enough bullet based anti drone systems. Is this a valid concern? He knows that Israel has a new iron beam system, but that doesn't work in all weather as far as he understands.
And I mean, I think Jeffrey would be able to respond to that better. But my understanding is that nobody comes even close to Israel when it comes to defending against whatever they're throwing at them. I'm pretty sure there's no defense system on earth that could basically catch everything coming at a country. So no matter how advanced Israel gets, there's always going to be like, oh, but what about this, like, you're not covering here. Okay, so you could basically, I mean, it's good that people are criticizing Israel because that's how Israel grows and progresses as a country. But looking from outside, I feel like I'm so impressed that I find it interesting that some people are complaining when it comes to Israel's defense abilities. But I know Jeffrey is more knowledgeable about this, so let's see what Jeffrey has to say.
You're talking about leveraging direct energy approaches towards strategic defensive architectures to offset magazine depth and or cost exchange ratios. Yeah, that's exactly why Israel pursued direct energy based defenses like Iron Beam. I'm one of the guys who actually pushed that 4 years ago, and I've been involved in direct energy for over 20 years. So, like, as without getting to all the specific details, there's a couple of things when you think about directed energy. Yeah, so it's true. You have to worry. There's, it has pluses and minuses, and there's different approaches. So we're just going to deal with lasers because it would take forever to go through them all, like what Israel is pursuing, and what we kind of like pushed them to, like these lines of effort to pursue. So when you think about direct energy weapons, particularly those that are high energy lasers, you can classify them in a couple of ways. One is the nature of the beam. So you have continuous wave lasers and ultra short pulse lasers, and they have different types of kill methodologies. Continuous wave laser keeps the laser on the target and kind of burns. It's a thermal structural kill. It burns, melts, and lights stuff on fire until the incoming missile or drone explodes or fragments or breaks up or whatever. Ultra short pulse is like it's like a laser machine gun, right? It's very high intensity over a very short period of time. This is all in class stuff. Those kill methodology is something called a thermal structural kill, which means the explosive outgassing that occurs at the surface of the target sends a kinetic shockwave through the target, and the target destroys itself. So ultra short pulse, and this comes into the question regarding things like magazine depth, how many like targets a particular laser can take out, or if you're dealing with adverse conditions like atmospheric aberration, thermal blooming, beam divergence, jitter control, if there's moisture and all this other stuff in the air. So ultra short pulse, the kill chain is very tight, right? And if you have that, along with some other things like adaptive optics or say artificial intelligence acting in the OODA loop decision cycle kill chain version of the via neuromorphic edge computing. In other words, you have the brain right on the gun and it sits there and can determine like look, analyze, shoot, look, determine if it needs to shoot again very quickly. Those things are very capable. So as it stands right now, the general defensive architectures looks for a hybrid approach to leverage both directed energy and or traditional more kinetic energy hit to kill interceptor defensive architecture. That means like Iron Dome, Arrow, those kinds of things, hitting a bullet with a bullet. Some of them use explosives. That's a different story altogether. So yeah, I mean, like that's and one of the reasons we pushed, me and some other guys push for direct energy based stuff, is to sit there and offset the very strategy, the saturation approach that both the Mullah regime and their proxies like Hezbollah, which was and probably still is the most heavily armed terrorist organization in the world, and prior to Israel shaping exercises in the past 4 years, possessed over 120,000 rockets, mortars, and ballistic missiles of various types, ranges, and accuracies and yields, so that you weren't overwhelmed. Yeah, I mean, like, what can you use regarding direct energy to offset some of the adverse conditions? You have things like free electron lasers, that's a different type of, so that's one of the ways you can classify them as a type of beam. The other one is a type of pumping methodology. So you have chemical pump lasers, both open and closed cycle. You have free electron lasers, solid state lasers, something even more sexy is quantum lasers that are coming online. So free electron lasers are able to sit there and vary their wavelength very quickly, which means that they can sit there and find ways to punch through inherent atmosphere. It's why free electron lasers are looked at by the Navy. Adaptive optics allows you to sit there and change the nature of that wavelength very quickly, so you can maneuver through clouds and stuff. I'm not going to get into too much stuff. I'm just saying this is all open stuff. So all that to say, direct energy is very much been pursued by the state of Israel to offset the saturation kind of attack approach that the Mullah regime and other proxies are trying to leverage to overwhelm Iron Dome and or Israel's broader integrated air and missile defense, because everybody just says Iron Dome. Actually, Iron Dome is just the lowest tier of Israel's multi-tier defense system. You have Arrow, David's Sling, all kinds of other things. Hopefully that helps a little.